Do you think the movie Halloween is just fiction made to scare? What if I told you that behind Michael Myers' mask lies a true story, buried for decades, a tale so dark that Hollywood toned it down, a truth involving blood, cults, disappearances, and a boy with empty eyes. It all began in 1962 in Russellville, Illinois. The police found an entire family brutally murdered inside their home. The strangest part, the house was locked from the inside with no signs of forced entry, and there was only one survivor. A 6-year-old boy named William Thorne. William was found in the backyard, covered in blood, holding a butcher knife. He was motionless, staring into nothingness. When asked what had happened, he simply said, "The man in the mirror told me to." The phrase echoed through the station. The officers never forgot the tone of his voice. With no solid evidence, William wasn't arrested, but he was soon sent to St. Marcus Psychiatric Clinic, one of the most feared in the region. For years, he didn't speak. He only drew, always the same blank face with a white mask. Doctors thought it was symbolic. They were wrong. In 1969, psychiatrist Leonard Mathis took over the case. He tried to understand the boy's mind, studying his drawings for months, until one October night, William spoke for the second time in his life. "When the moon bleeds, he will return." Hours later, the psychiatric wing caught fire. William survived the fire with barely a scratch. Dr. Mathis wasn't so lucky. He was found burned, with his skull crushed. The report called it an accident, but firefighters swore. The fire started inside William's room, which had no electricity. No lighter was ever found. After the incident, the boy was moved to a maximum security wing. Curiously, 2 years later, his records were closed. Cause of death, cardiac arrest. No photo of the body, no autopsy, just a rushed, scribbled death certificate. William Thorne disappeared. Years later, at a flea market in Haddonfield, young screenwriter John Carpenter found an old diary. It belonged to the late Dr. Mathis. Inside were accounts of William, voices he heard, and a cult called the Order of Samhain, which used children as vessels for ancient entities. Carpenter became obsessed with the story. He saw the foundation for a script, but told no one about the source. He created Michael Myers, a silent killer with a white mask and empty eyes, an inhuman force. But few knew Carpenter wasn't just creating a monster, he was portraying one. During the filming of Halloween in 1978, strange things began happening. Lights flickered, equipment failed, and one actress claimed to see a man standing at the back of the studio. The crew thought it was paranoia. Until one day, something unexpected happened. A real death on set. The set electrician, Mark Daniels, was found dead in Warehouse 3. His body hung by the wrists, eyes gouged out. Beside him, one word written in blood on the wall: Samhain. The production tried to cover it up, calling it suicide, but no one could explain how he mutilated himself that way. After the incident, Carpenter began having recurring nightmares. He saw a boy staring at him, waking up always at 3:33 a.m. Once he woke with claw-like scratches on his chest. He sought spiritual help. A medium was called and said the energy there was older than evil itself. She left terrified. Carpenter rushed to finish the film. He said he needed to close the cycle. The film was an instant success, but behind the scenes, people close to the production began dying mysteriously. The editor died in a bizarre film reel accident. His scream was accidentally recorded. One by one, those involved in the original film vanished. Some left the industry, others had public breakdowns. Jamie Lee Curtis, the film's star, later revealed she felt a presence on set. She avoided being alone during filming. Michael was just a character, or maybe not. In the 1980s, journalist Claire Hensley investigated the film's origins. She tracked down Dr. Matis's diary, but it had vanished from the production archive. Claire located the old St. Marcus clinic. She found it abandoned, but with signs someone still lived there. Inside, Claire found walls covered in strange symbols. In the basement were dozens of white masks scattered around. In the center, a restraint chair with human fingernail marks on the arms. On one wall, the phrase, "He never left. He's just waiting for the next Halloween." Claire recorded everything and sent it to her station, but before it could air, she disappeared. Her car was found burned miles away. The tapes vanished. With no evidence, her case was shelved. They say she became part of the pact, what they call those who try to reveal the truth behind Michael Myers. In the 1990s, screenwriter Daniel Farrands tried to reboot the franchise with a script telling the origin of the Samhain cult. The studio rejected it, saying it was too dangerous. He received anonymous threats and abandoned the project. Later, in an interview, he said, "What I wrote came from a dream or nightmare." Reports surfaced from fans who watched the original film dozens of times, noticing the mask's reflection subtly changing expression in specific scenes. An online theory claimed that every Halloween, someone watching the movie could be marked, and the real Michael Myers would choose a new soul. In 2007, at San Diego Comic-Con, a cosplayer dressed as Michael Myers stood motionless for over 6 hours in the same spot. When security tried to remove him, he fled. One guard was later found dead in the venue's bathroom. The knife was never found. The man was never identified. The following year, an indie studio tried to release a documentary titled The Real Halloween. The director, Chris Mallory, disappeared a week before the premiere. The raw footage was sold online for a symbolic price. Viewers claimed a motionless figure appeared in nearly every scene. Skeptics say it's all coincidence and sensationalism, but strange patterns exist. All deaths and disappearances linked to the film occur in October, always after the 13th. In many cases, a white mask is found near the scene, without logical explanation. In 2018, a Blumhouse employee snapped a backstage photo during the new Halloween sequel. When zoomed in, they noticed a reflection in the glass. A 6-year-old boy, identical to William Thorne, watching the set. The image leaked, but was wiped from the internet within hours. Some occult scholars claim Michael Myers is the modern form of an ancient archetype, the Veil Keeper, an entity that lives between the worlds of the living and the dead. This entity uses human bodies to cross over and manifest on specific dates, Samhain, or, as we know it, Halloween. A former nurse from St. Marcus broke her silence in 2020. In an anonymous interview, she said William was no ordinary child. He knew the name of every person who would die. He whispered the details of what was coming, and sometimes he spoke in languages none of us knew. She disappeared 2 months after the interview. Curiously, in Halloween Kills, there's a deleted scene where Michael looks into a mirror and sees a boy. The scene was never released, and the director said it made no sense. But an editor insisted it was filmed because something similar happened on set during a break. John Carpenter rarely speaks about the film's origin. In a 2021 press conference, when asked about William Thorne, he turned pale and replied, "Some stories should never be told, and some ideas don't come from within us. They simply find a willing body to obey." The most feared theory among fans is the Myers cycle. Every 40 years, they say, the spirit returns, seeking new eyes. 1962, 2002, and now 2042 would be the next rupture point. Until then, he wanders among masked faces, waiting to be recognized, waiting for someone to say his name aloud. But what if he's already among us? What if the obsession with horror films is just a distraction created by him to feed on collective fear? And what if every time you watch Halloween, he gets closer, slowly crossing the line between fiction and reality? Maybe he's reading this now. In the lost files of St. Marcus Clinic, one final handwritten phrase was found, hidden on a wall for decades. The translation: "It's not evil that wears the mask is the evil." And maybe with every new Halloween, it's simply searching for a new face, a new home, a new William. In 2022, a group of urban legend hunters tried to break into the old Russellville clinic. Armed with cameras, they spent hours filming. They found fresh blood on the walls, even though the building had been closed for decades. One member, Josh, was never seen again, but his camera was found, which was still recording. In the video, Josh walks down a dark hallway and says, "There's someone here with me." The camera falls to the floor, capturing a pair of bare feet slowly approaching. Then, the sound of heavy breathing and a whisper, "He's awake." The footage ends there. The rest of the tape was melted, as if burned from the inside. Forensic experts analyzed the footage, but couldn't explain how only part of the tape melted from the inside without damaging the casing. Some said it was staged. Others, more skeptical, refused to even look at the evidence. One investigator reportedly went blind after watching the tape alone in the dark. Despite all this, Halloween remains one of the most iconic horror franchises in history. Its influence shaped generations of filmmakers. But beneath the awards and fanfare lies a warning. Some stories aren't meant to be told, and some characters were never just fiction. If William Thorne truly existed, and if his story is real, then Michael Myers might not be a creation, but a continuation. A vessel that shifts through time, wearing different faces, but always with the same purpose: to feed on fear, to cross the veil, and to never die. So the next time you watch Halloween alone in the dark and think you see something move in the reflection of the screen, don't blink, don't look away, because if the legend is true, recognition is an invitation, and he only needs one glance to know you're ready. Some fans have begun a new ritual. They cover all mirrors before watching the film. Others leave a single candle burning, but the bravest say his name 3 times before the movie starts. No one knows what happens to those who do. Maybe you'll find out. Because the mask doesn't choose just anyone. It waits, it watches, and when the time is right, it returns. So this Halloween, ask yourself, are you watching the film, or is it watching you?